Dear students, today it's a very important day for all of us, that we are celebrating the 78th Independence Day of India. Now about this Independence Day. It is a great day. I need not talk about the greatness of this day. We know what is the importance of independence and freedom. India, who would understand the importance of independence and freedom more than a country called Bharat? Because this is the one country, perhaps in the whole history, a country which has been under foreign rule for almost 1,000 years. So my question is, who would understand the importance of freedom? Only a person who has been living in slavery and bondage. Just imagine, if you are living in bondage and slavery, you will understand the importance of independence and freedom, is it not? One who is already free, perhaps he won't be able to understand the significance of what freedom means. Perhaps we take it for granted. But only a person who is imprisoned and who is in bondage for some reason or the other, whatever may be the reason, that person can value what independence is. So all of us, we can value what is the meaning of independence. We have suffered, this country has suffered for the last 1 millennium. And I will just touch upon those points. We should know, today morning I was listening to Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech, which he gave from the Red Fort. Very important points he touched upon, which all of us have to think about, especially our study circle boys. You know, in the study circle also, I would suggest this to Anishandaji, that there should be debates about the different problems which India is confronting today. The different social issues, political issues, how we can make our country better and better, stronger and stronger. These should be the topics of debate among you, all of you, when you come here on the Sundays. For us, our country should be paramount. Most important thing. Our Bharat is first, second, and the last. It should be our main concern. That was the one passion for Swami Vivekananda. You know that. Swami Vivekananda is described as a perfect combination of two things. One is India, and other is Hindu Sanatana Dharma. I shall come upon that point later. What is the connection between India and Hindu Sanatana Dharma? I'll come to it. There is no Bharat, there is no India without Hindu Sanatana Dharma. I'll come upon that point later. So anyhow, so today is a very important day for us to celebrate. Now, it is not the question of only celebrating it. In and through this day, we are reconnecting ourselves with the soul of Bharat. It is an occasion for us to once again reconnect ourselves with the soil of Bharat, with the soul of Bharat. Again, I repeat, we have to find our connection, and we have to once again strengthen that connection. Connection with the soil of this land and with the soul of this land. So this is a great opportunity. It is not just a question of just hoisting the flag. That is just an external demonstration of something more, that intense passion for who we are as a race, as a nation. As Swami Vivekananda's that Swadesh mantra just now, whatever boys recited, amazing. He says, we are Bharat, we are Bharatiyas, Bharatiyas, the poor Bharatiyas, the poor Indians, the backward Indians, the Chandala Bharat. We are all, whatever it is, we are poor, we are Chandalas, whatever it is, we are all Bharatiyas. That is the one identity. Whoever is living in this subcontinent, we have one identity, only one identity. We don't have any other identity, that we are Indians. So today, it is a day for us to once again reconnect ourselves with the soul of this land and renew our passion and resolve to dedicate our lives for the betterment of our country. So that is the main significance of celebrating this day every year on 15th August. Now, there are several issues, several points which is coming to my mind. I shall keep my talk brief. In fact, India can be discussed from several viewpoints, and every viewpoint may need one class. We can talk about nationalism, Rashtravad. What is this Rashtravad or nationalism? Of the Indian kind. There are different kinds of nationalism. Let us not go into it today. But I am telling about one point, that India can be looked upon and discussed from various standpoints. And to really understand the soul of India, it is very important to read Swami Vivekananda. As someone has said, someone means it is Rabindranath Tagore, who is told that if you want to understand India, study Vivekananda. And this is not an exaggeration. This is very important. Because if you just look today in social media, any debate concerning India's problems, you will find it is so funny that all kinds of discussions and narratives and standpoints are taken up, and people go round and round discussing those things, but no one really touches the soul of India. If you really want to understand where the soul of India lies, and that soul is immortal, remember that. You can look upon India in two ways. Bharat, the physical structure, and Bharat, the soul. Just like we have a body and we have a soul inside, similarly Bharat is both a body and a soul. It is not enough just to understand the physical structure of this land. We need to understand where lies the soul of India. And to understand the soul of India, you have to study Vivekananda. And this is not an exaggeration. If you just look into the present situation, India, it's very interesting. India is surrounded by countries which are all going through a state of unrest. Look, who is there on the east of this country, Bangladesh? It is in a state of unrest and turmoil. On the west we have Pakistan, a country which is continuously in a state of unrest and problem. On the south we have Sri Lanka. On the north we have China. It is also a country which is undergoing lot of transitions and turmoils there also. If you look northern still, you will find there is a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. If you look into the situation in UK, it is under unrest. A serious unrest is going on in the United Kingdom, the kingdom which had ruled India for almost 2 centuries. Today it itself is in great trouble. Whole of the Europe, France, everywhere you will find unrest is going on. In the Middle East, Israel and Hamas war is going on. Russia-Ukraine war is going on. Overall, you will find that in the midst of all this situation, which marks at a kind of a global unrest, in the midst of all this, India is silently and steadily growing and progressing and making advancement. This is something wonderful to be noted. In the midst of all these adversities, there are forces within India as well as outside India which wants India, that India should not grow and should not make progress. But in spite of that, India is steadily, not steadily, in fact, it is very speedily making progress, especially what has happened in last 10-12 years. It is simply striking and remarkable. Anybody with an open eyes will be able to understand what has occurred in the last 1 decade. It is something amazing. India, after 1947, today where we are standing, I shall come to that point later. So what I want to say is that in the midst of all this global unrest, there is one nation which is steadily growing and rapidly progressing, and this progress has got a great message for the entire world. What is that? India today is unstoppable. I shall call Bharat today unstoppable Bharat. This Bharat cannot be stopped. And when you talk about this unstoppable Bharat, something comes to my mind. I'm really tempted to quote Swami Vivekananda here. It is very interesting. Today we are in 2024. Almost 125 years ago, Swami Vivekananda had spoken about the unstoppable Bharat. Just imagine, at that time, what was the condition of this country? I'm talking about 1897, the last decade of the 19th century. Just imagine, at that time, India's condition was, what should I say, the pathetic at its best. India's condition at that time can be described to be pathetic at its best. It was the most pathetic state in which Swami Vivekananda's time, Swamiji had seen that India, an India which was literally in abject poverty and darkness. An India which was slave to the foreign rule, ruled by outsiders, humiliated from all sides. Indians facing humiliation at every step. Just imagine, we have not seen that. We were not born in the enslaved Indian condition. We were born in free India. That's why, really speaking, we don't understand the value of it. Today we are breathing in free India. Had we been born in that time when the Britishers had ruled, we would have understood the value of independence. So as youngsters, you should understand what does it mean to be alive in this free India, and we have to take steps to ensure that this freedom is never compromised. Anyway, going back to that Swami Vivekananda's amazing prophetic statement, so beautiful. I'm talking about unstoppable Bharat. But today it is very easy for me and you to sit here and give a big lecture about it. But Swami Vivekananda in 1897, he was talking about unstoppable Bharat when India was being ruled by the Britishers. Can you imagine that? How could Vivekananda do that? After having come back from America in 1897, he gave a talk in Ramnad, present-day Tamil Nadu. There, what an amazing lecture. You should all read that lecture if you want to understand the spirit and passion with which Swamiji used to look upon our great country. There Vivekananda says, what beautiful. You can see a perfect blend of poetry and prophetic vision in his words. A perfect blend of poetry and literally a ringing words which comes with a prophetic vision. Swamiji is saying there, the longest night seems to be passing away. The sorest trouble seems to be coming to an end at last. The seeming corpse appears to be awakening. India, this motherland of ours, is awakening from a deep, long, deep sleep. None can resist her anymore. Never again is she going to sleep anymore. No outward power is going to hold her back anymore, for this infinite giant is rising on her feet. So electrifying is statement coming from this prophet of modern India, Swami Vivekananda. Just imagine. I am still shocked to even think that how could this man speak like this in the last decade of the 19th century when India was steeped in darkness from all sides. As if Swami Vivekananda was seeing that what is going to be the future of Bharat. He was seeing that none can resist her anymore. Literally, to put it in 2 words, what he was talking about unstoppable Bharat. Even in the last decade of the 19th century, he was saying that none can resist our motherland anymore. I am seeing that Bharat is awakening. She is standing on her own feet. No outward power can hold her back anymore. And never again is she going to sleep anymore. These are the 3 fine utterances which Swami Vivekananda made at that time. How true, my dear friends, how true. Today you just look at the India's condition. That is why I just first created a background. India, after 1947, if you just see, we have been living in the midst of all kinds of adversities from our neighboring countries. And when there is a global unrest everywhere, this land, in spite of all its defects, good points, bad points, I'm not saying that we don't have bad points. We also have our bad points, but the glory of India is that India has got that openness to correct its own mistakes and proceed ahead. That is what actually goes into the making of a character, individual character and national character. What do you mean by building a character? When I know that there is something wrong in me, I should have that capacity to change myself and make myself better and better. And this characteristic you will find in this great land called Bharat. Yes, we had many defects. We had many shortcomings. For the last 1,000 years, we had made many mistakes. But in the last 75 years, you will see that India has been struggling to overcome its own shortcomings and mistakes, and it has been trying to make its character more and more perfect. This is an amazing trait which is found in our great land, and this is what is the gift of our rishis. So, going back to those Swami Vivekananda's words, the unstoppable Bharat. In the last decade of the 19th century, Swami Vivekananda is visualizing the rising India, and he had predicted that he was seeing the future India, and he had predicted that the future India is going to be so great that compared to the future greatness, all the past achievements of India would pale into insignificance. These are Vivekananda's words. Just imagine. Vivekananda is saying that in future, India is going to be so glorious that compared to the future glory, all the attainments that India had in the past, it will pale into insignificance. It will look so small. Can you imagine what he's saying? Now, if you look into the past, India had been the richest country in the world. Let us go back into the history. We should know today we are celebrating this Independence Day. We should know where we are born. How fortunate we are that we are born in this soil. Is it not? Two things. Be tremendously proud about this country and its civilization, and you should know what is the root of India's civilization and culture. This is necessary, especially for our young boys and girls. They should know where lies the soul of this great land. So going back into the history, if you just see, it is very interesting. Swamiji is saying that the longest night seems to be coming to an end at last. The seeming corpse appears to be awakening now. What does it mean? Longest night coming to an end. What is this longest night that Vivekananda is referring to? That is the point. What is this longest night that Swami Vivekananda is talking about? He is talking about the 1,000 years, the last 1,000 years, where India was steeped in darkness for several reasons, social reasons, political reasons, for all kinds of reasons. The invasions which took place from 1000 AD onwards, the Islamic invasion, that was the time from that time onwards, India's dark chapter starts. So he is saying that this longest night of foreign rule, initially ruled by the barbaric invaders, Islamic invaders, they came and they ruled this country. They tried to inflict all kinds of wounds on the body of Bharat Mata. I again repeat, it's very important. You can cause wounds to the body, but you cannot kill the soul of this country. For 1,000 years, these invaders, they have tried their best to inflict serious wounds on the body of this motherland, and they did a lot of damage. We all know the kind of damage that it has done to the culture and civilization of this land. Temples destroyed, and all attempts to put an end to this Hindu civilization they have done. But they could not succeed. Yes, you can cause some wound to the body, but the soul is immortal. This Bharat Mata is the soul. That soul is immortal. That soul is eternal. That soul cannot die. So, starting from 1000 AD onwards, you will see the invasions which took place from that time onwards, and you see the dark chapter of India starts. From that time onwards till 1947, you can take it completely, it's one era. The era of foreign rule, initially by the Islamic invaders, then comes Britishers. The British rule of almost 2 centuries, a little more than 2 centuries. And the consequences of that, just imagine My dear students, India was the richest country in the world prior to, no, even in the 18th, even in the 17th century, even till the Britishers came, India was one of the richest countries in the world. If you go back 1,000 years back, India was on the top. Always, India never knew what poverty is. This land was always known as Sone ki Chidiya, the golden bird. And the prosperity of this country is not only material prosperity. We were prosperous in every sense of the term. It is material prosperity plus all kinds of spiritual prosperity, which is the real soft power of this nation. I don't want to touch upon that issue because that will make my talk very longer. I have to wind up in another 15 minutes. So what I want to say is that India was the richest country, rich in every sense of the term, rich in material sciences, empirical sciences, as well as rich in the science of spirituality, religion and philosophy. How much the world has gained from India, we cannot even imagine. Swamiji says, if at all there is one country to which the entire world is indebted, his words, if at all there is one country to which the entire world is indebted for all kinds of reason, that is Bharat, that is my country. Do we have pride about it? How much our motherland has given to the entire world, it cannot be evaluated and assessed in any material terms. Whether you take all physical sciences, Bharat has been the birthplace of all kinds of physical sciences, whether it is arithmetic, whether it is astronomy, whether it is medical science, anything. You take any of these physical sciences, the birthplace of all these sciences have been our country. It is from here that these things went outside, and today the West has hijacked that narrative, and today they are promoting the narrative that everything happened from the West. No. It is from India that these things have gone there, and from there in the last 6 centuries, from the time we should say the European Renaissance started, from that time onwards you will find they hijacked the whole story. Anyhow, we have to get it back. We should know, our students should know what is the glory of India. That's why I'm saying, if you really want to understand the glory of India, you should study Vivekananda. Study lectures from Colombo to Almora. You will see every page is in flames. I would say whenever, today morning also I was just turning those pages, I find these pages are in flames. Flames coming from Vivekananda's passionate words. The tremendous passionate pride about what India is and the tremendous pride for Hindu Dharma. This is what we, our young boys, have to imbibe today. Anyhow, the story goes, the richest country in the world became the poorest country when Britishers left India in 1947. Can you imagine? The richest country in the world, which was known for its riches throughout the history. It never knew what poverty is. That richest country in the world became the poorest country when Britishers left India in 1947. Anybody who loves India literally would be in tears to imagine we were living a hand-to-mouth existence in 1947. Do you know, at that time we didn't have food grains in this country, and India had to wait for food grains to come from abroad. Government of India had declared that we should fast once in a week just to somehow save some food grains so that people can eat. That was the condition of India in 1947. The richest country. Suppose if you were born in a very rich family and suddenly if you have to come to the streets and becoming poor, what will be your feeling? That was the India of 1947, which we have not seen, which you have not seen, which I also have not seen. But we should know the history. We should know our history, how India has progressed. So, how did India become so poor? One of this ruthless exploitation which took place through the instrumentality of the Europeans. Let us be very blunt about it. We have been taught in our schools and colleges that the Europeans were the saviors of India. We don't know the other side of it. Every single drop of blood was literally sucked out from this land. The land of the riches. In fleets of ships, wealth from this land used to leave the shores of India towards England. Swamiji speaks about it. Swamiji says the London which stands there, it's The London is standing on the wealth which it has looted from all the Asian countries. What is so good about that rich? India was rich never by looting other countries. What is that philosophy which made us rich as well as most compassionate nation in the entire world? What is that philosophy? Do we know about it? Swamiji says the Western countries, they have been looting all other nations and they have become rich today. But how did India become rich? By looting other nations? Never. This is the one land which has never gone out of its boundaries to kill other nations, to loot other nations, to cut the throats of other people in the name of nationality, in the name of religion. This has never happened in this country. And behind this characteristic, there is a philosophy. And that is the great philosophy of Hindu Sanatana Dharma. It is the Hindu Sanatana Dharma which makes India what India is. Swamiji says, let this spirituality of the Hindu Vedic Sanatana Dharma go away from this land, India will be dead in 3 decades. So when we talk about India, we should understand several aspects of it. We have to understand it in a depth. So going back to that story, this richest country became the poorest. The Europeans, the Britishers, they had literally siphoned off all the wealth of this land to their so-called England. And in 1947, India, the richest country of the world, became one of the poorest country in the world. You know, there is an English, there is a saying, rags to riches story. From rags to riches. The saying, rags means from poverty to riches. India's story is just the opposite. From riches to rags, and then from rags to riches. Now we are moving from rags to riches. That story of riches to rags, that chapter is over now. Only we have to ensure that this chapter is not repeated again in future. That is the great responsibility of all Indians of this land. So from riches to rags, in 1947 we find India in absolutely pathetic state. And my dear students, now you know, you are the students of history, I need not tell you how India has progressed. It was not a smooth progress. We all know that. In the midst of all adversity, external adversity, internal adversity, in the midst of all adversity, India has, as if, just like in 1947, the body of India is totally shattered and battered and wounded. Just imagine, if you are battered, if you are wounded, what will happen? You will fall down on the ground, you will begin to crawl, is it not? But the soul is not dead. Bharat Mata is not dead. It is a soul, it is not just a body. You can inflict damage to its body, but you can't kill the soul called Bharat Mata. So from 1947, you will see India slowly, this battered country, slowly crawling initially. And from crawling, it slowly started walking. And then it slowly started running. And in last 75 years, today India is not walking and running. Today India is galloping. This is the power of the soul called Bharat. And it is galloping, and it is only waiting to make the final flight towards touching that sky of ultimate success. As I said, today morning's, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modiji's talk was something everyone should listen to it. What has happened in last 10 years is something remarkable. India had to wage wars on so many fronts since 1947. You all know, on the political front, we had 4 major wars with Pakistan, 1 war with China. And then since 1990s, we know this problem of terrorism and terrorists, which is going on for the last 3 decades and which is taking so much energy of this country in one direction. And in the midst of all these challenges, India has been slowly, and it is not only the war on the political front. Another major war has been the war against poverty. Just imagine, my dear students, in 1947, one of the poorest nations in the world, today in 2024, India is the 5th largest economy of the world. Does it not make you feel proud of what we are? Can we be killed? It is immortal. India is immortal. No external power can hold it back anymore. Swami Vivekananda's words. None can resist her anymore. Swami Vivekananda's words. And never again is India going to sleep anymore. Swami Vivekananda's words, fiery words. 125 years back, Vivekananda uttered these words. How true these words are today, you can see. The unstoppable India. The poorest country in 1947, today India is the 5th largest economy in the world. Today we are $3 trillion economy in the world, and very soon in the next 2 decades, it is predicted that we are going to be at par with the most powerful nations of this world. This is going to happen. 2047 has been kept as the target when India should once again be at par with the most powerful nations of the world. So that is the kind of picture which comes before us if you just look into Swami Vivekananda's predictions, every word of Vivekananda proving to be true. And we have got a great responsibility in this, and we have an important role to play in this. So this is the positive side I am seeing. I am not saying that ancient India didn't have any defects. It had its defects. Every society has got its both sides, good sides and bad sides. We also had our bad sides. Even today's India, there is tremendous power in India. 140 crore people, just imagine, most talented, I should say, humanity living in this part of the globe. Why I am saying it's the most talented, just see today, if you look at India from the standpoint of science and technology, we are also among the best. Space science, nuclear science, we are among the best. In the space science today, we are setting new benchmarks. You all know that. I don't want to talk about it. All the space missions which we are doing, they are the cheapest and the best in the entire world. In 1947, who could have imagined that India would achieve such wonderful feats in the next 70 years? But it's a fact. Today it's a fact. Military-wise, India is the 4th largest armed forces in the entire world. America, Russia, China. 4th is India. Just imagine. In 1947, the most helpless country, today it is number 4 on the global scenario as far as military might is concerned. Nobody can dare look at India anymore. India now decides. Till now, India was the victim of the decisions taken by the global powers, but today in 2024, India is governing and influencing decision making all over the world. What a wonderful India is emerging. This is the emerging and unstoppable India. In any front you take, IT, India is today the IT hub. We have the best workforce existing anywhere in the world the workforce which is most sought after. Indian workforce is the most sought after workforce in the world. Everywhere, all the countries, they want Indians, the best brains in all the fields. So my dear students, how much scope is there for all of you to contribute to the further might and glory of this great land? So you should all have this great vision in front of you. When you look at your future of your life, you have a great and very meaningful things to do in future. That is my point. So this is the kind of picture which emerges from riches to rags and from rags to riches. Once again, we are going back to our own past glory, as Vivekananda had predicted, that the future glory of India is going to be so great that compared to the future glory, all the past attainments will pale into insignificance. Just look at the words of this great prophet. Amazing, simply amazing, thrilling, electrifying. Now, before I wind up my talk, this is all fine. Great achievements, greater achievements waiting to happen, wonderful. But we have to be on guard. We have to be on guard regarding one thing. And this also Swami Vivekananda had presented to us because he had seen the weaknesses of India. You know, the biggest weakness of this country is what, you know? Somewhere we lack unity. This is the biggest disease we suffered from. It is because we were not unified. We suffered 1,000 years of foreign rule. If we had stood unified, this foreign rule would not have happened. This is the one big mistake. You know, in our country, we have almost 1,000 dialects, so many languages, every state having its own language. And first big thing that we have to learn is we have to come out of our regional identities. Today you should resolve actually. You're all Bengalis later. You're Indians first. You're all Maharashtrians later. You're Indian first. You're Punjabi later. You're Indians first. Our first, our second, and our last identity is that we are Indians and we are Indians and we are Indians. Anyone living on this subcontinent, we are Indians. You may speak any language, doesn't matter. You may belong to any state, doesn't matter. Anything which hits the Indian identity, you have to fight against it. Any force which compromises the integrity and unity of our country, you have to learn to stand against it. This Vivekananda had pointed out in his lectures. He knew this disease. Very beautifully Swamiji says in one place, see, we all fall sick, is it not? We all fall sick. Sometimes you have fever, some infection. How do we fall sick? For any person to fall sick, Swamiji says that two things have to happen. For a living entity to fall sick, two things have to happen. What are the two things? Your immunity should become weak, number one. When our immune system becomes weak, that is the first thing. And once your immune system is weak, the second thing then the germs and viruses infect your body from outside. When these two things come together, the person falls sick, is it not? If your immune system is strong, even if external attacks is there through viruses and bacteria, you won't fall sick. So for a person to fall sick, his internal immune system should become weak, and then there should be an attack from outside. Then the person falls sick, is it not? This is precisely what happened with India in the last 1,000 years. These are Swami Vivekananda's words. Don't think it's my words. I want all of you to read Vivekananda properly to understand this wonderful evaluation of India's mistakes, and we have to learn from our mistakes so that we don't commit these mistakes in future again. So in order to remain healthy, what we need to do is we need to increase our immune system. We have to make our immune system stronger. So Swamiji says, what happened? Why we became enslaved to the foreign rules? India became weak internally. Our immune system became weak. How? For 1,000 years we were never unified. We were quarreling with each other. We were fighting with each other on several grounds. On the grounds of language, North India, South India, all these nonsensical things which is existing even today. South Indians, they will think that they are Dravidians. Such narratives have been spread. If you just go to the south, extreme south, they will say that we are Dravidians. These are all new. These are all injected poison injected by external foreign thinkers. They have made us to believe that, no, you are different, they are different, and they want us to quarrel. This is the big conspiracy of which we Indians have been victims. So we have to be very careful. These are all nonsensical narratives. Remember, Swamiji says, from Kashmir to Kerala, from Gujarat to Mizoram and Meghalaya, it's one Aryavarta. This is Arya Bhumi. This is the Veda Bhumi. This is the Bhumi of the Hindus. We all have one identity. No matter which religion you practice, no matter which language you speak, no matter to which state you belong to, we are Aryas. This is Arya Sanskriti, Arya Sabhyata. Swami Vivekananda doesn't tire again and again repeating this idea. So we need to understand. So Swamiji prescribes three things. I will tell that and I will stop my talk. What does he say? In order to make ourselves strong, Swamiji prescribes three things, 3 points. Please note it down. Number one, he says, the future of India entirely depends on 3 factors. Which are these 3 factors? Number 1, organization. Number 2, coordination of wills. Number 3, accumulation of power. What does it mean? I'll just explain it. It is very simple. All the 3 actually mean one and the same thing. Swamiji saw that we are not organized. we are not unified. Our national trait has been that for the last 1,000 years we have been quarreling and fighting with each other, and that is why foreigners came and ruled us. Swamiji gives a beautiful example. Just imagine, my dear students, what was India's population when the Britishers came here? We were around 30 to 40 crores, something close to 30 to 40 crores. And what is the population of England? Just 4 crores. Swamiji says, how could 4 crore people rule 40 crore people? Is it not absolutely ridiculous? It is just like 4 crore people ruling 40 crore people. How is it possible? If the 40 crore people decide, they can make chutney of the 4 crore people. Is it not? Swamiji speaks this very language. But why could we not do it? Because this 4 crore English people, they were unified, they were organized, their wills worked in one direction, and we 40 crore people, we were totally disorganized, we were disunited, and our wills functioned in diverse directions. That is why a small group of people comes and they rule the entire Indian subcontinent, because we were not unified. So this is the big mistake which happened from our side and which we have to correct in future. Just imagine, so what is needed is organization, Swamiji says, coordination of wills. Coordination of wills, what a wonderful thing it is. 140 crore people, just imagine, if their wills are all unified, 140 crore wills unified, dedicated to protect the sovereignty and integrity of this land. Just imagine, there won't be any power on this planet to even look at India with some evil intention. That will be the power of this country. But unfortunately, this has, inside India itself, my dear friends, you should know, there are forces which are working to dismantle India. You know, I don't want to go into the details. It is existing. And these people are radicals. Radicals in Muslim community, radicals in Christianity, and radicals, I won't say radicals, brainwashed Hindus themselves who are working against the unity and integrity of this land. No matter to which community these people belong, remember, the forces of dharma have to unite. The good forces have to unite. When I say good forces, means all those forces which want India to exist, that unified India, that should be one force standing against all these evil forces which want to break India. So there is break India forces existing in India today, no matter to which religion they belong, whether they belong to the Islam or Christianity, and even brainwashed Hindus also. There are brainwashed Hindus who call themselves leftists. They are all working to somehow bring down this great country. So why I am talking about this is that we have to be very careful. We let the forces of good unite, let the forces of dharma unite, and we have a great responsibility on us to see that the sovereignty, the integrity of this great land is never compromised. There will always be a struggle. Don't expect that there is never going to be a struggle. This creation means it's a war. It's a war between dharma and adharma. Only we have to see to it that we take the side of dharma and face the adharma. Face the brute. That is the philosophy. There is no unconditional ahimsa here. Let us not be fooled. Just now we read that wonderful story of Matangini. What? That Matangini is one. There are millions like this in this land who laid down their lives for the protection of this country. Millions. Even women, brave women, a lioness, they have laid down their life to protect the honor and sovereignty of this country. This has happened in all parts of India. In all parts of India. What an amazing sacrifice. Today we salute them. This Independence Day is meant for what? To remembering that great sacrifices which they have done for this great land. And it is not the question of only remembering them and we go to sleep. We have to take a vow. We have to resolve that we maintain that spirit and see to it that even today there are forces, internal forces working to dismantle India. We as Indians, we as the great citizens of this land, it is our onus, our responsibility to ensure that we stand against all these evil forces and ensure that the sovereignty of this land is never compromised. The unity of this land is never compromised. Whether you are a Bengali, whether you are a Maharashtrian, doesn't matter. We are Indians. And as Indians, we stand together, united against all those forces which is trying to break India. So this is the kind of resolve we should have today. It is not the question of just hoisting a flag. We have to be passionate about India. It is not just a routine, some ritual which is going on. Sometimes when we do things in a routine manner, it turns out to be ritualistic, in which the passion is lost. No, we have to learn to live with great passion and resolve to do something for our country. One last more thing, and I will say, and I will stop my talk. As young students, you can lead two kinds of life. As young students, see, we are all now towards the other side, the evening of the life. You're all in the morning of the life. You have the whole day before you. Almost half of the day is over. You have great things to do in the whole day, in your life. What is the kind of life that you're going to lead? You have to decide for yourself. Either you can lead a very self-centered life, a life which is only thinking about my pleasure, my advantages, my money, me, self-centered life. You can lead a self-centered life. Or opposite to that, you can lead a life which is centered in the good of the nation. The choice is yours. Swami Vivekananda exhorted the youth of India to live a life which is centered in the good of the nation. A beautiful statement which comes from Swami Vivekananda, which is inscribed on the back of your t-shirts. What is that statement which is inscribed on the back of your t-shirts? Can anyone tell? Rest are more dead than alive. What a beautiful. I always say this is the ultimate, I should say the ultimate mantra given by Vivekananda for the youth of this country. In a letter written to Mysore Maharaja, Swamiji says, this life is short. Every word is so thrilling. Swamiji says, this life is short, and the vanities of this world are transient. I repeat, life is short. It is a short life. Everything will be over like this in 2 minutes. The life is short, and the vanities of this world are transient. Here everything is transient. Nothing is permanent. Everything will go away. Your youth, your body, your beauty, everything will go away. Nothing will last. They alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. What a beautiful remark. Amazing. This should be the guiding philosophy of your life. They alone live. You will be living if you live a life which is meant for the good of others, which is a nation-centered life. If you're living a life which is exclusively meant for your selfish aggrandizement, that is a life which is brutish. In Swamiji's terms, it is a life which is absolutely brutish. So they alone live who live for others. Rest are more dead than alive. So, my dear friends, it was a wonderful thing today. For me, it is an exercise to once again reignite that passion in me. When I think about India, when I think about Hindu Dharma, and India, again, let me just touch upon that point. The very soul of this land is Hindu Dharma, and we are all Hindus. Let us proudly proclaim this point. We need not be politically, we need not be politically conscious about this fact. We should not be shy away to talk about our own identity. Hinduism is the very soul of this land. Let Hinduism go away from this land, Bharat will be dead in 3 decades, Swamiji says. Understand, Bharat is Bharat because of this great Hindu ideology. This is the only ideology which can bring about good to the entire human race. So there is something special about India and Hinduism, because Hinduism is the soul of India, and if India is becoming powerful, Hinduism is becoming powerful, this is the only two things. It is not two things, it is one. India and Hinduism, it's one. Hinduism is the soul, India is the body, it's one. And if this entity is becoming powerful, it can become only a blessing to the entire world. This powerful India will never be a cause of problem to anyone. It has never happened. That is the speciality of Hindu Dharma, and that is the speciality of India. India has never been a problem to anybody in the world, and in future also, if India becomes strong, it will be a blessing to the entire globe, entire humanity. That is why Swami Vivekananda used to talk about Prabuddha Bharat. Through a Prabuddha Bharat, we have to create a Prabuddha Vishwa. That was his vision. An awakened India, and in and through awakened India, creating an awakened humanity. India is a blessing to the entire world. And how fortunate that we are the citizens of this great Bharat Mata. So dear friends, it was really a great opportunity for us to think and rethink about these issues, and you should go back, and I would very strongly recommend that you should read these lectures. Perhaps you might have heard this from me hundreds of times. I keep on telling this, that read lectures from Colombo to Almara. These are not pages. They are pages on fire and flames. Today morning also I was just sitting and reading those pages. What passionate words. Amazing. That was Vivekananda. Uncomparable. So my dear friends, I wish you all the best, and the choice is yours. What kind of life you're going to lead. If you want, you can lead a selfish life, or if you resolve today, let us take a great resolve today, a vow that our life would be a life which is dedicated for the good of the nation, and never let us have a fight. Don't talk about peace. There is no friendship with adharma. With adharma there cannot be any friendship. All the forces of adharma have to be faced. We have to face the brute. We, the forces of dharma, have to stand together. The forces of good have to stand together against the forces of evil. This is the great teaching of Krishna given to Arjuna in the battlefield. It is a dharma yuddha. So we have to be very confident about it. In order to protect the sovereignty and integrity of this land, you all have to be resolved, and you have to take a great vow today. Saying this, I stop my talk here, and I pray to God, may Swami Vivekananda bless you with that strength. You have it, only you need to manifest it. Jai Hind, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Vande Mataram.